So you mentioned before that you were taken onto a ship. So can you go back and just tell us that story? How did that begin? Did that occur while you were asleep or were you awake? And where did you go to? What was your understanding of what happened there?
Yeah, there were many events during that time period, being on the ships. I was basically on the ships, you can say, in these higher consciousnesses, uh, every night. There were times where I actually woke up physically in those ships. They are different types of ships. One of the ships I can share easily was they were non-emotional. They were very kind of cold-plated experiences. Then there were other ships where they were very warm and had emotion in them. They were very human-like. I started to experience these different um, ships. It was right away. It was right after this awakening, and I would start to see them physically as well. They would appear and they would show themselves. There was an incident. I remember I was in California in Coronado. There's a military base in Coronado. I don't know if you know California. Uh, and I was there with a partner during that time, walking on the beach, and all of a sudden I hear a scream, "Help us! Help us!" I did not understand what was that going on. Somebody was screaming, and I'm like, "Hold on a second," telling to my partner, and I turn around and I just tune in to the military base, and I just projected myself right into that military base. As I started to walk through that space, I started to see there were cages, many cages with different alien beings in each one. These cages were not regular cages, they were electrical cages. That same week, there were so many helicopters coming in and out nonstop, 3 to 4 helicopters at all times, coming in and out. I did not really understand what was going on, but these beings were calling me. So I go down there energetically, I project myself while I'm standing at the beach, and they're like, call the mothership. I'm like, what do you mean? Why can't you guys call the ship? They're like, we can't because they showed me that there was a net, an energetic net above them where they couldn't telepathically communicate towards that direction. So through me, connected to the main ship and talked to them. These beings were actually small beings, but they were do not touch beings, basically. They were considered, they're not allowed to be caught or touched by any human military or any species because they are vibrating at a high frequency and they were benevolent beings. I was like, okay. So I call a friend, maybe I don't know if you know Alan Steinfeld, and I call him up. I said, "Hey, Alan, I'm in California right now. What's going on?" He's like, "I'm not sure why." I was like, "There was these beings that came through, blah blah, and there was a lot of helicopter activity, and they asked me to connect to this ship." He's like, "There was a crash in Brazil uh, last week, and they are saying that these beings are being transported to United States." I was like, okay, this is like very interesting because now it's all makes sense, right? That same 2 nights later, we're laying on the rooftop just watching the stars, and all of a sudden, there's this huge pyramidal ship just flowing, maybe about 150 feet above us, very, very slowly. And when it passes above us, it's just this energy comes right into my heart of such gratitude. And I knew and I felt telepathically communicated that they were thinking, they were being released. There are species that are not so good, just like people. And there are species that are really good. And it all depends who you connect with and how do you connect with them. If you channel your mind towards a positive channel, your channel will connect to those beings that will assist you because they want to connect with you. They want to raise the vibration of the planet. They want us to reunite. It's like connecting with uh, other countries, you know? So for them, it's more on that level. If we take a look into our DNA is actually compiled from different species. So therefore, sooner or later, we are going to connect with them. Sooner or later, they will come. But before that, we as humans must raise in vibration and connect to the higher dimensions within our own selves before we connect to other beings. Because if we cannot connect to us, how will they connect to us?
So, what have you learned about, or what are the extraterrestrial races want us to most learn about ourselves? You think what is it? You mentioned they're wanting to sort of help us raise our vibration. Is that it?
Awareness of consciousness. Because once we have a awareness of our own consciousness, we will understand the universe itself. It's not something we have to learn. It is something that is within us, just needs to be activated and remembered. Because our school systems, our environment is teaching us stuff every day, but it's not teaching us anything about the universe. It's teaching us how to pay bills, how to pay taxes, and we're trapped. We're trapped in a cycle that is constantly moving us in this direction, but it's not moving us up in a cycle. So this is the planet is going there either way. We like it or not, people are awakening. And there is nothing that the old regime can do, but is going to have to surrender sooner or later. It's just 50 years for us seems like a lot, but on the universal clock, it's not a lot. So the change takes place stretched out, it seems to us, on a time scale. But in reality, it's actually doing pretty well. You can see what's happening. I mean, in the past, like I mentioned, 5 years, you can see what's taking place. People are wondering, "Wait, how can I do this? How can I learn meditation?" I mean, in 2004, I told somebody I meditate. They're like, "Are you okay? You got mental issues? Why are you meditating?" Now they want to learn.
So, how much time do you spend meditating each day
I
nowadays?
spend much less now, but at least an hour to 2 hours I spend a day. But what is really meditation when you are meditating throughout the day? It was first fifteen years was really strong, lots of meditation. And then it becomes so deeply embedded inside of you that your cells remember that state of consciousness, and you can really easily shift back into that state while you are doing things. So it's basically if kids would do this till age of 15, they won't have to meditate for the rest of their life because they will already understand the concept of meditative consciousness within their everyday reality.
So, can you tell us about what is it that you're mainly teaching people these days? I'm sure what you do has evolved over time, but what do you mostly teach people now?
I mostly teach people how to activate their energy bodies and to clear that because through that space we connect to other dimensions. Through that space we connect to other people. Through that space we manifest. Through that space we create our reality. If we really understand that space, then you will attract and create the vibration that is most highly suitable for your soul's experience, and you will alleviate the desires of the ego mind, and really manifestation will become instantaneous because it's not manifestation, you're jumping the timeline that already is there.
So you may as well, yeah, tell us about how people can get access to that. Like, is that done through courses or books or?
Sure, yeah, I have courses online, a community as well. There's a online community, and I have free meditations every Tuesday. I've been doing free meditations since for the past actually 10 years. So every Tuesday there's free meditations. It's stuff information's on my website, igorgalibov.com, and they can also look it up in alignmentoflight.com. There's courses, there's pilgrimages, there's other people teaching courses as well. So it's basically a whole community of different spiritual tools, techniques that will assist each individual in their journey.
Okay, you mentioned pilgrimages just then. What is that exactly? I've not heard that term
So
before.
we go to sacred sites
Right.
like Egypt, Turkey, Jordan, Petra, and like sites like this where we go through sacred sites to have activations because these sacred sites were built on grid levels of the earth. And the grid levels of the earth is where the highest amounts of energy can enter. They're like chakra systems of the earth. And when you go to these places, you definitely have a shift in consciousness because you're standing in a portal where your whole being starts to align to that higher vibration. So recalibration takes place in the energy fields.
Wow. Okay. So, is there anything that you'd like to leave people with, Igor, before we
Ah,
wrap it up today?
One thing I think is very important out of all of spiritual tools is being aware of the breath, because the breath is a tuner of frequency. If we can regulate our breath, we can regulate our whole reality.
Just tell us a little bit more about that. You intrigue me there. So what, we should be more conscious of our
Yeah.
breath, or
Our breath is very important. When we become emotional, our breath shifts, so we shift our vibration. When we become anxiety, our breath shifts as well. If people start to pay attention to it, the breath will shift, not only the depth of it, but where you are breathing. If we learn how to breathe deep into certain parts of our body, we're actually activating this body. Is not our body, it's a machine. If we really understand it and not stop saying it's my body, my, and look at it as a machine of how it needs to operate, and we really align it with the clock of the universe, all the centers will right away open up, and the receiving part of our mind will also subside right away to open up to higher dimensions. Through the regulation of breath, the slower our breath, the deeper we connect. So if people breathe, let's say 40 times, uh, 40 breaths they do in a minute or less, or 20 breaths, see if you can slow it down. If we can slow down the breathing in and out, you will really transform the whole system. It depends where you breathe, because a lot of times people only breathe to their chest. We should be breathing deep into the below the navel, because there is a vital part where the soul's energy anchor in. Because the soul's energy needs to anchor in what we call the sexual energy. It is actually anchors in into those spaces. That's why it's called sacred sexuality. And if we really understand it, it is not about just pleasure. It is about the orgasmic connection to the soul. So there's a
great?
whole process and system in that as well. Yeah.
And I assume that that is something that you also teach people as well?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I just actually put that course together. It's called yeah. It's coming out very soon. I'll have that out. It's going to be the orgasmic experience of the soul.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Igor, it's been great to meet you. Thanks very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time today.
It's great to be here. Thank you, brother.